And oh boy, that was very loud. Welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is a premier podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Look at this. Look at me. I'm all set up. I'm not gonna lie. I've got about 20 minutes until I have to end this episode because I have an interview with a comedian. My first one since February, since the one with the Sklar brothers. I haven't done a review, a review or an interview since then. Not like I haven't been, like I've been, with the lack of interviews, the lack of offers, but I just haven't had the feel for it. If you watched last week's episode, if you watched or listened to last week's episode, because this is it's a video podcast now, apparently. Apparently, well, I have a lot of issues with with work, and I hate working the jobs I have, and I want to do other jobs, and so that really got me down for a very long time. But now I'm back and hopefully doing well. Actually, no, I tried to be back about a month and some change ago, but I was not. The people didn't respond to me when I'm asking for these gosh darn interviews. So here we are, episode 64 of the Constitutionals podcast, episode 3 of the video version. If you're watching, hello, I'm waving to you right here. Go to youtube.com/comedy to see the video version of the podcast. If that's your whole fancy or whatever. We're now in the throes of the year. We have 6 more months until it is time for 2018 to fall out. But until then, I will enjoy a whole lot of TV and movies and video games and stuff, and try to balance talking to either one of these cameras that are in front of me. Oh, the microphone just knocked. I realized that last week's episode was very hot on the mic, and now I'm monitoring the levels with the headphones. I figured if I stopped using the USB port that I was using on the laptop to record the podcast and switch to the other side. You see, this is the charging one, and then this is the one that I was using. There's one behind the charging one that this laptop charges with a USB type thing, and I can also just use a USB in that port. But the port I was using to record via the Yeti Pro was not working very well. Every time I plugged in the headphones, it would just crash Audition. But now I'm using the other side, so hopefully that fixes the issue. If not, then I'm screwed. I should have bought the preamp like I wanted to, but I don't have any money for that right now. Let's move on. Let's jump right into it. Ghosted was canceled by Fox week before it, like the day that the last episode was recorded. Ghosted was canceled. If you didn't know what Ghosted was, it is a TV show starring Craig Robinson and Adam Scott, and it was canceled. It was actually very rare that this happens now, but it was all right. So let me explain what the show is. It's a paranormal show. It's like Ghostbusters, but in LA in modern times. And it was the first half of the series that aired in the fall, or the earlier this year was. Oh yeah, in the fall, was just so different and weird and wonderful. The guys went out, they were cops, and they dealt with ghosts, and we got a whole sense of the paranormal activities that were paranormal activities, right? That were in Los Angeles. And then the second half of the series, Fox picked up for another back 6. They usually do back 9, but it was a back 6 episodes. And Paul Lieberstein, he's Toby from The Office, replaced the showrunner Kevin Etten, and and he basically turned the show into another version of The Office. It became an ensemble comedy. Whereas the first 5 episodes were Ali Walker joining Adam Scott and Craig Robinson, Ali Walker, Adil Akar, Amber Stevens-West. Those were the other main characters joining them. But then in the last 6 episodes, we got a sense of who else worked at the bureau, and it was kind of. I mean, I enjoyed the first half of the show. I like The Office, but I don't think every show needs to be Office. When Parks and Rec came out, that show had a very interesting start because it was not good. Same thing with 30 Rock, but then the next season it got better. Somebody sat down and they retooled it. But with Ghosted, you just can't take the Office approach. It worked for Parks and Rec. It worked for Modern Family. There are shows that are single camera that it worked for, or mockumentary style that it worked for. And there were a whole bunch of shows that came out at the time that it did not work for, and those shows are canceled, and I forgot what they were. Cavemen, was that one of them? Why is Cavemen in the forefront of my mind? Anyway, let's move on. Ghosted, watch it on Hulu. I think they're doing. Wikipedia says they made 16 episodes total, so just watch it. You won't lose anything. It's a funny show. The first half is interesting. The second half is a lot more tight, and a lot more story driven, but it's very dull. Then there's Jiminy Christmas. The computer just reminded me. That is so embarrassing. Reminded me of the interview. That's at 1:00. It's 12:40 right now. I gotta keep going. Glow came back, as did Nailed It. Glow and Nailed It, two wonderful shows on the Netflix channel. Glow stars Allison Brie and a bunch of women as the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. They wrestle on TV. They try to make money. The show's not doing well right now. The show within the show. Glow is not doing well right now. Allison Brie's character just found that out, and they're about to be put on at 2 a.m. That's how far I am in the series right now. It's a very fun show. I urge you to check it out. It's hit Me Too movement. It hit it in the episode I just saw, and boy oh boy did it hit it in a way that I did not think it was going to go. But there it is. Nailed It. Nicole Byer. Again, I've talked about this earlier. Wonderful show. It's a cooking competition show. I love it. If you don't like it, too bad. I mean, that's all I can explain for you. Cooks, amateur home cooks that are really, really amateur, not like the amateurs on Chopped. They try to make wonderful baked creations. Don't turn out well. That's pretty much it. But speaking of cooking, Gordon Ramsay has a new show on Fox, and I love Gordon Ramsay, so I decided I would check this show out. It's called Gordon Ramsay's 24 Hours to Hell and Back. That show is imagine any Gordon Ramsay show, but instead of the week that he's there, try to condense that all down into one 24-hour period. It is so great. It is so delicious to watch this show because Gordon's got to do double time. It's usually and they all start the same. I've watched 3 episodes so far, and they all start the same. He goes into a restaurant undercover in the worst disguise possible. If you didn't know that was Gordon Ramsay, you're an idiot. He goes in there in a disguise, and then he tries a bunch of food on the menu. He goes in with a group of people that are hired actors. Or not actors, they're hired people, like just random people, like a hired band in New Orleans or a hired family who was technically a family of actors in the first episode. And then and then he tries the food. Food's obviously not good because why else would they be here? And then he goes and then he brings the staff out and he closes the restaurant down in this dramatic fashion. Shows in this video that they've been recording this. His production crew's been recording the staff for months and months, or a couple of weeks now, with hidden cameras and stuff because they think they're going to be on a different show, but they're not. Oh gosh, and that's pretty much it. And then they try to do everything that Gordon Ramsay does, fix the kitchen, fix the staff, except with the exception of hiring new people. They do all that within 24 hours. And apparently the lore is that he goes around on this bus that is so stupid, on this stupid tractor trailer that he drags around the United States. I guarantee that man does not sit more than 2 minutes in that truck. It's a truck with a kitchen on wheels. It's a kitchen and high-tech mobile kitchen. It's a semi-truck. That's it. And the truck's called Hell on Wheels. And that's as close as cursing on this stupid podcast I can get because it's a clean show. The next episode airs July 11th because they're taking July 4th off. I cannot wait. It's a great show, but I guarantee this man does not sit in a truck going from Congers, New York to New Orleans to Los Angeles to Greenville back to Los Angeles. I really like Gordon Ramsay. He's a great guy, and I think it's so funny that he has all these shows that are essentially the same. And then when people see Gordon Ramsay, they go, "Oh my God, is that Gordon Ramsay?" It's Gordon Ramsay. Why is he here? If I saw Gordon Ramsay at a restaurant, I would stop eating immediately. First thing. Oh my gosh. Oh, I just got an alert from ESPN Hall of Fame Terrell Owens to give induction speech at alma mater Tennessee Chattanooga. That's where I went to school. I've seen him at a basketball game. T.O., stay away from school. Oh my gosh. I hope I'll be there. I won't. I'm not going to drive 2 hours for that. I'll drive 2 hours for that wedding though. Oh boy. Oh boy. I think it's funny. I just like Gordon Ramsay's 24 Hours to Hell and Back. It's a great show. Gordon Ramsay's a great guy. I wish they had his Kitchen Nightmares, the UK version, streaming on Amazon. They have the American version, but I've seen all of those. I've seen a good number of those. The UK version is great. I saw it on BBC America one time. Then, Uncle Drew. I did not see this movie. I really want to because I love basketball and I love the idea of basketball players acting. I like LeBron James in Trainwreck, which was amazing. Now, I have an issue. This movie performed way better than I thought it was going to be. It's I hate aggregates, but it's got good scores on the aggregates. The trailer was funny. I like Nick Kroll. I like Lil Rel Howery. That's insane. But I read one review for it, and I think it was on AV. I think it was an AV Club review or it was a New York Times review. They were talking about how the writer Jay Longino, I think that's his name, Jay Longino, his writing was a little bit stiff. Well, I don't want to say stiff because that's the next movie I'm talking about, but his writing wasn't up to par. The story kind of faltered every which way. And Charles Stone III, the director, apparently did a good job. But there's so many people in that movie. I really want to see that movie. I'm excited. That's definitely going to be a movie I check out on Redbox, though. Or maybe when it comes to streaming before it comes to Redbox. I mean, streaming like Google Play or iTunes or something like that. Moving on. I saw Tag. Tag was it was a movie that I saw the trailer for, and I tried to forget every little thing I saw in the trailer because it was just such a funny premise, such a funny trailer. I saw the story that the movie was based on, the ESPN story. It's a bunch of guys who have played the same game of tag for 30 years. Once a year, every May, they fly around the country basically to catch each other and play tag. And so they fly from like Spokane, Washington to LA. Back home to LA or something like that, back home to Atlanta. The movie was filmed in Atlanta because there was a bar. Actually, there's a bar in Sandy Springs that it was filmed at that I've been to once. But I recognized the bar in the movie, and it took me right out of it. I don't care if something's filmed in Atlanta. I don't care. I don't care if I can recognize something. When Baby Driver came out, the entire city was freaking out. Like, ooh, I drive that highway all the time. Yeah. So do you think people in LA are watching Lethal Weapon and going, oh boy, that's Dodger Stadium? I don't know LA landmarks. You think somebody in LA was watching La La Land and they said, oh my gosh, is that the Griffith Observatory? Ooh, you can rent it out for dates. You can rent out the planetarium for dates. Anyway, Tag is about, I love riffing by myself. It's the best. Tag is about Ed Helms, Jeremy Renner, John Hamm, Jake Johnson, Hannibal Buress, because I got to have one minority person in there. One colored person in there. And that's so true. That's all I can think of throughout the movie. Whenever Hannibal wasn't in the scene, I'd be like, oh, okay. I get it. I know whose movie this is. It was very funny, very interesting. Speaking of stiff stories, this movie did have a stiff screenplay. At some point, they're trying to get Jeremy Renner, who's never been tagged, who's never been it. Sorry. And so then halfway through the movie, find out Jeremy Renner's getting married, and then the action just stops. It's a great action movie too. Oh my God, such a wonderful action movie. The stories of whenever someone goes on a interview show has been, oh, Jeremy Renner, you broke your arms doing stunts on the first day of the movie. How was that? And they CGI'd your arms. I don't care. Same thing with Superman's mustache and Justice League. I don't care. I am here for the movie. If you're looking to find holes in a movie, if you're looking to find problems the moment you sit down for a movie, then you're not going to enjoy the movie at all. You're not going to enjoy the movie. If I can go into Avengers Infinity War, and I'm not a fan of superhero movies anymore because they burn me out, and still enjoy myself and not look for any issues, then you could do the same thing for Superman and for Jeremy Renner. Good Lord. Anyway, But yeah, Tag's great. The screenplay from Rob McKittrick and Mark Stylin was pretty interesting. Like I said, it stops halfway. Essentially, it stops halfway through, and then they slowly introduce more and more characters over and over again, like Rashida Jones, Leslie Bibb. It was very interesting, but there are also, again, Rashida Jones, another token person in this movie. Gotta stop doing that, guys. It also ends at a point. It ends in a very sentimental note, which is great, which is fine, which is what I love. But it doesn't have to do that, and it just. I don't want to give it away. I don't really want to say that I want to give it away, but it's just they end and they're still playing tag, obviously, which is good, but it tries to shoehorn within the last 5 minutes heartfelt messages of friendship and kinship and why we still play tag and why they still play tag and all that stuff. It's very interesting, but I really wish they would have expanded upon that in the following action rather than the end, the end of Act 3. Annabelle Wallace plays a Wall Street Journal journalist who is just sucked right into this whole thing. Hey, the recording stops on that camera. You can see it right there. But so now I'll focus on this one. See, that's how easy it is. That's how easy it is. And I didn't even have to mention it, but now I'm doing it. I'm looking at myself in the eyes, and the video is so strange. I gotta hurry this up. I got 5 minutes left. Anyway. Annabelle Wallace plays a Wall Street Journal journalist who's interviewing John Hamm, who's a Fortune 800 CEO, which is the funniest joke, which I laughed way too hard at. And she gets dragged into this from the get-go. Ed Helms is trying to tag John Hamm in the middle of work, and then John Hamm goes. He interrupts the interview. He goes, "I gotta do this. I'm sorry. I gotta play this. I gotta play this game. I'm it. And then Annabelle Wallace goes with them. And Isla Fisher's great in there too. She's very intense. She's Ed Helms' wife, and she's very intense about the game. But one of the best parts about the script and the direction and the characters is that they don't go halfway. They turn into the skid, the unseriousness of the entire movie, which is what works. Everybody knows they play this game. No one has an issue with it, and they're willing to spend so much money and do so many things and hurt themselves and get punched in the butt and have these weird action sequences with Jeremy Renner, who slows down time like Robert Downey Jr.'s Sherlock Holmes. It's so wonderful. Turn into the skid. That's all I can say is turn into the skid. You got to do that so that you enjoy the movie, so the movie is able to be enjoyed. I'm going to go ahead and move on because I need to keep going. Oh, there's nothing else to talk about. Well, that's it. That's all I got for the Constitutionals. Now, this week, you should also check out News Time, which is it was a very interesting episode. I did, what was it about? IGTV, Instagram TV, and it was also about Verizon's Go 90, and it's going away forever because it is not a good app. And Go 90 was an app where you can basically it's a free streaming service. You'd watch shows produced by Verizon and acquired movies like Shrek and acquired TV shows and stuff like that. I likened it in the episode to Crackle, but for phones. It didn't work for the past 3 years. It didn't work. It was a Verizon / AOL joint. Just didn't work, and we're not sad about it going away. So watch that episode of News Time. It's great. I think it's the best episode that I produced in here in this studio space. But that's what you get. I think this looks really good now. I think this is a well-produced episode of the Constitutionals podcast. It sounds good. It looks good. I'm just patting my back. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. So I have an interview with a comedian in about 7 minutes. So I got to prepare for that. So if you like this, why don't you head on over to cpluscomedy.com, which has just been redesigned. I told you something was happening with it. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. I just chose a new template on Squarespace. That's all that happened. But and I've took the emphasis off of the news and the reviews and stuff. Now it's the emphasis on the video and the audio aspect. That's what I was going to say. I didn't say the A word because this is a clean show. That was so stupid. So check it out. It's a great redesign. I think it looks simple and clean. I do need to do some stuff with the pictures for the written stuff. The camera just shut off. So yeah, there's that. You can follow us on Twitter at C+ Comedy. Follow me on Twitter at Chad Black White. Like us on Facebook. Go to the YouTube page, youtube.com/C+ Comedy, to watch the video version of this. You can see my crappy room in all its glory. Hopefully, I got something working. Hopefully, God, knock on wood. I don't want to jinx it. That's where the rat lives. That's where one of the rats lives. And it's one of the roaches I trapped in there. All right. And then I just knocked on the door next to me. It's an attic door. So yeah, there's that. Go to youtube.com/C+ Comedy. Watch News Time. Watch the Constitutionals podcasts. And I love you. Have a good day. And this episode's out on 4th of July because I pushed Constitutionals from Tuesdays to Wednesdays because it was just too much strain, especially in this space, to produce another show after 24 hours after I've done one show. So, yay. So now so I'll try to be a little bit less topical. I don't know. Who cares? This wasn't even a topical episode. Okay, I gotta go. Oh, stay tuned to the end of this episode for the audio listeners. Audio listeners are getting something special to get the part of the interview for whatever I'm doing in the next 5 minutes. It's an interview with this comedian. I forgot her name. I'm so sorry. So go listen to it. Okay. Bye.